Welcome back, everybody, to another vlog. Today I will be showing you every hand from a tournament I played on Saturday. It was a $60 buy-in, and there was about 50 players, including a rebuy for every player. I'm going to show you every hand I played. If you're following from Instagram, like and subscribe so you don't miss another video. And if you follow me on YouTube, go to my Instagram at all.in.owen. I post daily content on there, and you don't want to miss it. Thank you, and enjoy these hands. I sit down, I get 20,000 in chips. We missed the first level, which is 100, but we're in the small blind with 100, 200 blinds. We see under the gun +1 makes a race at 600. I'm in for 100, but I figure I got suited cards, and there's not many players in the pot, so if I flop a draw, I can get paid. We go to a flop, 3 ways, the big blind comes along. It comes Jack, 7-5, rainbow. I think about calling a bet here if under the gun +1 continues, but when I think about it again, there's not enough money in the middle for me to make a call for backdoor draws, and we fold. For this next hand, I'm going to cut off with 6, 7 of hearts. Middle position throws out a 1K chip, which everyone thinks is a raise, but ends up just being a limp. So the hijack, the small blind, middle position, also call. We go to flop, and it comes 6, 8, 4, rainbow. We have middle pair, we have a gut shot with any 5, and we have backdoor hearts. Both the blinds in middle position check it to the hijack, who fires out for 1,000. We waste no time before calling, as our hand is way too strong to throw away. We see the button call, the small blind gets out the way, the big blind calls, and middle position wants to come along as well. So now we're 5 ways to a turn, which that turn card comes the king of hearts. So now we have a heart draw, and we have a gut shot with any 5. We see middle position check. The hijack decides he wants to put some chips in this pot, so he bets out for 2,500. We see the button really doesn't like this bet, which doesn't really change our mind as we just picked up more equity, so we're gonna come along as well. It gets tricky at this point because then the middle position player asks if it's on him, which usually signals that he's pretty strong and wants to put in more chips, which before he cuts out some chips, he decides to put his entire stack in the middle. Now, it is only the second level, so with the rebuy, some players might be trying to put it in a little light to get a lot of flips and use the rebuy to chip up, which definitely goes into our head because we just sat down. I cover the player who just went all in by about 3,000, which is not very much because we want to start with 20,000. And the hijack decides he wants to consider playing, but once he folds, I was like, at this point, I just turn a hard draw. Might as well want to gamble. If we win, we're over double starting stack, and which is very important in this tournament. So our opponent rolls over his cards, and he's got a set of 6s. So we're drawing to a 5 or any heart. We get our change back, ask for a little help from the dealer, and bang, we get the queen of hearts. We complete the flush, we get it in bad, and we come out good. So now we're big stack, and we're ready to play. After getting more than the double up from the last hand, I'm going to cut off. I got king, queen offsuit. Blinds are 200, 400. I'm the cutoff, and I decide I want to raise to 1,200. We get a call from the button. Small blind is excited and wants to come along as well. Big blind also throws in the call, and the middle position player who had previously limped decides the price is too good. We go to flop with 4 ways. The dealer puts out the flop, which comes king, 8, 8, rainbow. Not too many draws on this board, so when I get the turn to c-bet, anything that calls me is either an 8 combo, like ace 8, 8, 7, 8, 9, or maybe like king 10, king 9 suited sort of type. But I fire out for about third pot, which I fire out for 1,800.
I haven't been diagnosed at 37. I should get diagnosed.
We see that the button thinks about calling for about a second, but then he ends up mucking his cards. Small blind and big blind want no part, and the middle position player decides his hand's not good enough to continue, so we're going to knock down this pot. After picking up a decent pot with king queen off, I'm in middle position, blinds are 200, 400. I have king queen offsuit again. There's no initial action before me, so I raise 3 big blinds, 1,200. We get the low jack to come along. We also get the hijack to come along. And then we see the button and cutoff fold, and then small blind decides his hand's good enough to see a flop for the price, and the big blind says I'm priced in and comes along as well. So we're 5 ways to a flop, which comes king, queen, queen, bang. We drill a full house on the flop. Now sometimes people like to check, but there's a lot of draws on this board, so I'm gonna still c-bet. I'd c-bet for a small size, only 1200. We get the low jack and hijack to call. The small blind takes a peek at his cards and doesn't match the board. Same thing with the big blind. So we get 2 callers or 3 ways to a turn when we have pretty much the nuts. And a fantastic card comes out, the ace of spades. So now Jack 10 gets there. And
25.
anyone with like an ace X combo, like ace Jack, ace 10, who had a straight draw, now picks up top pair. And so we bid out for 2,500. We get the low jack and the high jack to come along. So people are pretty interested in this board. And we give absolute brick the 4 clubs on the river. I fire out for 5,500, Cinco de Mayo. If anyone else had another queen, they would probably raise me on
Cinco
the
de
turn.
Mayo.
So I just bet out for value to get called by either like King Jack, King 10, maybe a naked ace.
Queens,
and then we
kings.
see the low jack call. We'd say we flop full house,
flopped it.
and our opponent shows ace 10. It's no good, and we scoop a nice sized pot. Good value. So now we have the biggest stack at the table. So I start to play a little more loose, trying to push people around, play some bigger pots. It's 300, 600. I'm in middle position. I got queen jack off. I raised to 1200, which is pretty much just trying to be aggressive, be the aggressor. We get the button and the big blind to come along. We go 3 ways to a flop, which comes the 4 of hearts, jack of hearts, and 7 of spades. I c-bet for 1,600, which is 1,600 we'll never see again, as the player on the button snap jams. I put him on a set of 4s because I don't think any other hand like hearts would jam here. He's too deep, so he could see some more cards and isn't really scared of anything. I think 4s would be a hand that's scared. I asked him if he has a set of 4s.
You got
He
4s?
decides not to answer, and he returns his cards to the other face down. 2 hands after, I just got jammed on with Queen Jack. Blinds are 400, 800. I'm under the gun +1. And I decide I want to be aggressive again, get another chance. I raise to 1,900.
19.
We see the
I love
hijack
futsal.
wants to
It's
play
just
for that
fun.
price. We see the button also carve
Yeah,
out
no,
chips to
it's-
make a call. And then we get both the small blind and big blind to come along. So with no 3-bet in place, I don't think anyone's too strong. So not that we have the best hand, but there's a good chance that depending on the flop, we could have most of the equity. The dealer puts out 5, 9, 3 with 2 clubs. And as soon as we see the small blind donk bet for protection, we waste no time before folding our cards. After learning my lesson with Queen Jack off, I'm under the gun. I got ace, deuce of clubs. Blinds are 400, 800, and I still have a big stack, so I want to try to push some people around before my table breaks. I raised to 1,800. We get the hijack to come along.
They went.
This is what everyone started with.
The cutoff takes a minute to decide that his cards are not playable for this price, so he gets out the way. We see the button take a peek at his cards, but his are not good either. We see the small blind get out of the way. And then the big blind takes a peek at his cards, and for 1,800 he decides he can play with us as well. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop.
I just matched the stacks twice. No, I'm counting these.
The dealer puts out the flop, which comes 6, 7, 9. We have an over, and we have backdoor clubs. But since this is kind of a bad board, we decide we want to fire up for 2,500 to push those any unpaired hands out. And maybe we get an 8 to come along for 1 street, and we can get them off at a later street. So when I bet out for 2,500, we get the hijack to come along. The big blind's been taking his time to make every decision tonight, so I know that he's going to take a minute to make his, but ultimately he gets out the way. And we're heads up to a turn, which comes the jack of hearts. I slow down, I check with no intention of betting on the street. If he has any pair, I'm not going to get him off now. When I check, he goes all in, and I have him covered, but I kind of read this as a bully play. He doesn't have a lot of chips, and I think he just wants to push me out this pot, reading that I'm weak. A lot of older people do this to young kids, but my cards are no good, so I fold. So now blinds are 500, 1,000. I'm in the low jack. I look down at Queen Jack of clubs. Her hand's certainly good enough
I'm
to
18 years
raise.
of age.
So once the action goes to me, I raise to 2,500.
I said it's fine.
That's me.
He's legal.
I'm a teenager.
I
Yeah.
know. No, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Folds around to the button, who decides to come along.
I'm sorry. Did I offend
The
you?
small blind
never.
decides his cards are no good.
Just give
so he
me
gets out the way.
quads, Royal
We
Flush,
get the big
one of
blind
the
to
two.
come along, and then the razor and under the gun plus one
I'll take the
decides
nuts.
to come along as well.
Thank you. You gave me on the flop
Four ways
earlier,
to a
so.
flop, which comes 6 king deuce with 2 diamonds. Checks to me, and I decide I just want to check, play passive. We have 3 to a royal, but I want more equity on the turn, which comes the queen of spades. So now we have a middle pair or second pair, depending on how you look at it. And we see the big blind snap jam for 3,900, which with blinds being 500, 1,000, only 4 big blinds. We're definitely priced in at this point, you know. It's under pot bet, and when you have a player all in and you have a good piece of board, you know, maybe he has diamonds
I have a queen,
or
that's it.
a straight draw that he wanted to check jam with on the flop.
Jack, queen.
And we see our opponent has king 4
more?
offsuit,
Wow.
so we're quite behind.
39.
Unfortunately for us,
Wanted some
this
big-
river, the 6 of spades, isn't going to help us, and we're going
Nice
to lose this
hand.
pot. After chipping down a couple hands, our table breaks, and blinds are still 500, 1,000. We're under the gun plus 1 with king, queen, a diamond, so I raise to 2,600. Action then folds around to small blind. The small blind is a big stack who has been hitting every single card, draw, you name it. So with 2 cards, he's going to come along, and then we see the big blind come along as well. This is the last hand before the break, so every player who's not interested in the hand decides to get up and go to break. We see the flop come out, Jack 6 4 all clubs. The small blind checks the big blind who donk bets probably for protection, and we get out the way. So when I looked at my cards, I had planned to fold, but action limped to me in the small blind, so I just made the call. And we went 5 ways to a flop, which comes ace, 7, queen. We have 2 spades, so we have a straight draw, a flush draw. And action checks to the button. The button said he's been pretty card dead all day before this hand. He then jams for about 10,000, maybe a little more. We have a spade draw, so we're gonna reship it. The big blind gets out the way, and the next 2 players get out the way. We see we're up against 2 pairs, so it's a pretty fair fight. The turn comes a black 9 of clubs, and the river is a 5 of clubs. So we end up losing this one, and we cut out the chips to pay the opponent off. He has just about under 9,000, so it's not a big blow to our stack, but we've lost about 20,000 in chips from the main 6-7 of hearts pot, and it's not been looking too good for us the last couple hands. We need to definitely get some things changed and get back on winning track. So with the next hand, we're going to do that. In this next hand, we're in middle position, and I decide to kind of get a little out of line for where we are in the tournament. I get 9-10 of spades, and blinds are 800, 1,600. But I decide to raise to 3,600, and everyone folds except the small blind, who decides he wants to come along because he's been hot all night, especially with his big stack. He has everyone at the table combined covered, and then the big blind decides also come along. So with position, we go 3 ways to a flop. We have a lot of equity, so we want to see some spades, maybe some jacks and some 9s. The dealer ultimately puts out 4, queen, 10. 2 diamonds. The small blind checks over to the big blind. The big blind also elects that he wants to check. And I probably have the best hand, so I'm gonna bet for 5,000.
5.
This is an average size C bet. And of course, the small blind says the 2 words he's been saying every hand he plays, all in. So the big blind gets out the way, and now I'm really in a bad spot because I know it's a diamond draw, but this guy's been running hot all night. And do I really want to put my whole tournament life this early with about like 60% equity? He could have a queen of diamonds, which I'd be really in bad shape. But ultimately, I just decide I have to let my cards go. I don't want to play for my tournament life. And when I show the 10 of spades face up, he shows 2 diamonds. After our stack takes multiple blows, action folds around to the cutoff, who at this 1,200 blind level decides to limp. I look down at the best hand of the night, ace king, so I'm obviously going to raise. I don't want to play for only 2,000, especially when there's a lot of short stacks, and I can easily get it in right now. So I raise to 7,000, which gets the small blind out of the way. The big blind takes a peek at his cards, but his are not good to come along. And the limper decides his hand's no good. So we're going to take down a couple chips with ace king, and it's a win, so we take it. This next hand was my favorite hand of the night. There's one limper ahead of us. Blinds are 1,500, 3,000. We're on the button with the suited ace, so I decide I don't want to raise. I just want to make the call. We get the small blinds to make the call as well. The big blind decides he wants to call. And after under the gun +1 raises, we're 4 ways to a flop, which comes king, jack, 10, 2 clubs. Action checks to me, and when it checks to me, there's too much money in the middle to not put a bet out when I sense weakness. So I jam because I figure no one has clubs and no one has ace queen. And surely enough, our jam gets through. We make a great read, and this is a great
One
play,
was little,
especially when
the
you've
other
been
was
card
big.
dead for the last about hour, only losing
Huh?
chips. Sometimes you gotta just get a little
And we
ballsy
were chopping.
and put your whole stack in the middle when you sense weakness from your opponents. So I celebrate this little win, and we pick up more
That's a
chips.
good read right there, baby.
The initial recording got messed up in this hand, but blinds are 2,000, 4,000, and we see under the gun the big stack decides to limp. And when it folds to me, I figure we have the best hand, so I squeeze to 12,000. We see the small blind is considering his options, and he carves out calling chips, but with the action going the way it does, ultimately he decides it's better off with his small stack to release his cards into the muck. We see the button also get out the way, and we then see the small blinds take a peek at their cards, but they're no good. We see the big blind decide he's strong enough to play, and I get asked how much I have in my stack, which
4.
I show I have about 30, maybe 40,000 effective. And we get the under the gun limper to make the call, and I'm figuring my hand is best. I would have put it in, seeing that under the gun had limped. And we go 3 ways to a flop, which can't really get much better. It comes 3, jack, 6 with 2 clubs. Once the big blind and under the gun checked me, I think about how much I really should go for value, because this is a very big pot. And if we win this is a good chip stack. And so we bet out for 15,000. We see the big blind, think about it for a couple seconds. Big blind mucks, and the under the gun initial limper says he doesn't really know what to do with his hand, so he jams.
Yeah, overs.
He puts me all in, and
Flush.
I call. He shows queen 10 of clubs. So we're fading a club, we're fading a queen, which comes on the turn, and we're dead.